Hello, and we are live. Happy Thursday. Today, we're going to talk about what it's like to be the disruptive chef entrepreneur guy. Hello, I'm your host, Christian Fischer of the Disruptive Chef Entrepreneur Show. And today we're going to answer some of your questions, what it's like to do what we do and how we gotten into that. So with that, I want to say thank you for listening into the Disruptive Chef Entrepreneur Show. Happy Thursday to the world out there. And there's a few questions which came in over the last few weeks. So we want to talk a little bit about that. So one of the questions, I actually have my notes here right in front of me, was, hey, what does entrepreneurship in the culinary world mean? That's a really good question. I believe it totally changed after COVID because being a chef never really meant, I don't, no disrespect, not a lot, but there was this guy from Bedford, Massachusetts, who had this tagline of BAM. And he was our first real celebrity chef. And I always tell the story for a company I worked with. We spent a lot of time working in different facilities, and I went a lot of times to grocery stores. I never changed my chef coat. So I had a famous company I worked for logo on my chef coat. And every time I walked somewhere, nobody recognized or nobody said anything. And after we had a few of the celebrity chefs out there, all of a sudden people started talking, oh, you're a chef and you work for that company. So it totally changed. And I think the whole landscape sense has evolved. There's a lot of chefs or wannabe chefs which get into the industry. They feel like they want to do it because they want to have that celebrity chef status. First off, that group is really, really small, and it's really, really hard to do that, because there's a lot of amazing chefs out there which are just good culinarians. And there's a lot of chefs, or less of them, which are good culinarian and good show people. And there's even fewer of them which are good chefs, good show people, and good businessmen. So for me, I think it totally evolved. And I think what we want to do here with this show, kind of give chefs which want to do something else a platform to listen in and learn from. And we are here 100% transparent of the struggles we had doing this and how this all came about. So I do feel, to answer that question, how does it work in the culinary world today? I think it's a lot different. And entrepreneurship in the culinary world is totally different than traditional business. So for us, the reason we started this show is there's a lot of amazing chefs out there. And you probably heard there's 9 out of 10 restaurants fail. And it's not because the chefs are not amazing chefs. They never be taught the tools, strategies, and techniques which goes with it. Being a businessman, being a marketer, being a social media guy today. All of these things does not come natural. And I had to learn a lot of that. So for me, it totally changed, and it's evolving faster than everything else. And I know the next question came in. Talk a little bit about your personal journey. You guys know my personal story. I grew up in Austria, had the opportunity to own a restaurant very early, had the opportunity to come to the US, worked in 17 different countries, had the opportunity to be the top 1% of our industry. And not just because I had these amazing skills, I also got very lucky. And what we need to do a little bit more in our industry is reach out to people and ask for help and network. And I feel my strength's always been that I've been a good networker. So I networked all the time. And if I met people, I wrote down 3 things. Number 1, how can I serve them? Number 2, how can I learn from them? And number 3, who needs to know them? And it's still something we practice today. And for me, starting in the culinary industry was not something I wanted to do. My parents made me. They had a business on their own, and they said to me, hey, Christian, in order for you to have a successful life, become a chef, because people always want to eat. There's always people which want to have great food, and you will never be out of work. And COVID changed all of that. And for us, what changed with COVID was not just how we supported the industry, it changed the way we looked at it. Because COVID totally disrupted the culinary industry and actually exposed how fragile it actually is. So for me, I had a good partner who since passed, Joe, as we started this, we said, how can we serve the culinary world with our combined 50-something years of experience running businesses and being at the level where we are? And we started what we call the Culinary Executive Mastermind, where chefs get together. And it's a very good think tank. If you want to start a business, if you need some support around doing something new, I encourage you to come in. Just mention the show and we give you a month for free. And then also for me, my journey changed over the years. I realized that it's not enough to be a good chef, that we need to do more. And for me, I always was searching out there, what makes a Wolfgang Puck, for an example, different than the guy which runs the restaurant down the street. And then also for me, I looked at, hey, what are they doing? How can we model it? It was Jim Rohn who said that success leaves clues, and that's absolutely true. So my journey over the years changed. I love culinary. I love what the industry has given me. I love how it's not just a really cool thing to be part of. It's just one of the most amazing and innovative industries out there. And that's for me why I love this industry. And that's why I do what I do today to support chefs in and building something amazing. So I hope that answered that question. Next question is, hey, what some of the skills today's culinary entrepreneurs need? We talked a little bit about that. I think food alone is not enough. I feel you need to be able to build a brand around who you are, not just who you are, what makes you different. It's not just who you are, what makes you different. It's how do you support the community? And my very first restaurant here in the US, we didn't do very well. And it was because we wanted to do our food. What I had to learn was that it's not just about our food and my food, is how do I fit into the community? And sometimes we forget about that. And for me, as we changed that, everything for us changed. And that's something I believe chefs need to learn a little bit more. And that's also what should be taught in the culinary, the schools, because they do an amazing job building some amazing culinarians, but there's more to it. The other skill is resilience. It's not an easy industry to be into. And if you are faint of heart, this industry is not for you. Also, if you look at overall, if you like to get out of school, work for very little money for a lot of hours for a very long time, being disrespected and not being able to grow into an industry or into a job you want. And then it's really hard to find your first executive chef's job. And I remember my very first executive chef's job was hard because I got promoted from within. And nobody taught me, how do you make that pivot from being a coworker to be the boss? And that's something also we teach in our programs, because I think that's skill number 3 people need. Skill number 4 they need is, we talked about, is that whole networking. And we had an amazing guest on not that long time ago, which talked about the power of networking. We need to do a lot more of that. And for me, skill number 5 is, you know what, you need to have a learner's mindset. Things change so quickly. For us, we always call it, hey, let's find the who, not the how. And I used the example of TikTok. One of my team members said, hey, Christian, we really should be on TikTok. I think the message would be amazing out on TikTok. I tried TikTok. I tried to build an account. After 3 days, I was so frustrated. I handed her the phone before lunch. After lunch, she said, hey, Christian, you on TikTok. She did it. She became my who. And I tried to figure out who was the how. So for me, having that learner's mindset, I think, is skill number 5. And then how about, Christian, any challenges you had to overcome? Wow. And that's not just from a food side. Getting into a different side of the culinary industry, the hardest thing was to have people recognize you as something else than just a chef. Obstacle or challenge overcome, number 1. The second one for me was learning all this stuff. So I'm lucky that we have a full studio here now. But as we started this out now 4.5, almost 5 years ago, I was in my dining room table. I had a simple computer. I just showed somebody an audio from our very first show 5 years ago, and it was terrible. I looked bad. I still don't like the way I look, but I looked terrible. It sounded terrible, but I thought, oh my God, it's so amazing. And then for me, that was probably the biggest thing, because things change so quickly and there's so many great things out there. So be careful who you listen to. And I'm a big fan of Jim Rohn. And Jim Rohn always says, stay guard of the door of your mind. So be careful who you listen to. And then also overcoming is that this takes a very long time. A lot of people think I put a great video out, a great content, and I go viral overnight. That's not the case. We've been doing this for 4.5 years. Okay, some of our videos get 20, 30,000 views, but we're still not there and we still have ways to go. So for us, being consistent, being here to serve you guys, and that's why we do this every Monday and Thursday, is more important to me than the views. So I'm here to serve the industry and share my experience and the things we learned. And I think for me, the final obstacle is, and you find it also being in the kitchen, is having people which are part of your team, which see the vision you have. And I've been really lucky over the years. I interviewed thousands of chefs. I hired thousands of chefs at one point. I'm responsible for 40,000 chefs in the organization I work for. And I learned it's more important to have a cultural fit than skill set, because skill set is learnable. For me, also, it was more important to have a cultural fit, because it doesn't matter if this person is amazing if it doesn't fit in with everything else, because it disrupts that. And then the final thing is, you want to have somebody who has ambition the way you do and who wants to grow whatever you build the way you do. And I've been really lucky to be able to do that. Question number 5 we had is, how about the importance of networking and relationship? I can't overstate how important it is. For me, I always made it a point, and I still do today. I reach out to 5 people a day. 2 of them is to reconnect. 1 of them to strengthen my relationship, and 2 to discover something new. And I'm a big believer that we create in conversation. So you need to have conversations with people out there in order for you to build something new. I use the example, my desk, my chair. There was somebody at some point who said, we need to build that chair. We need to build that desk. Today, I'm sitting here and I'm talking to you through this. So we're building in conversation. And if you have people in your network who inspire you, stay connected with them. I spoke with somebody last night because when I need somebody to lift me up, I call him. His name is Clint. And we always create something when we speak. And I believe everybody needs somebody like that. And for me, I put my friends into 3 buckets, which is not the nicest thing, but I have 3 buckets. Somebody who I can ask for advice, and I know they give me honest feedback. The second one is, if I want to just find passion or reconnect with something, I know who to call because they light me up. And then I have the other group where I feel I need to be there for them. And for me, I do this every day, reach out to 5 people a day. So if you're asking me about networking and relationship building, I encourage you, reach out to 5 people a day. Changed everything for me. Next question was around balancing creativity and commerce. Oh my God. For me, that was the toughest thing. For me, I'm a chef at heart and I'm a little bit all over the place. Having somebody on my team who says, no, let's build this. And what is the final outcome of that? Changed everything for me. And then also understanding the market you're trying to play with. This show was started because I have a program we launching to support chefs. And I went to one of my mentors in this, and he said, Christian, you need to start a show. The show is the single fastest way for you to get an audience, not just an audience to listen. It's an audience who want to hear your message, because the people which don't want to hear your message are not going to listen to you. And for me, here's one of the things around that commerce piece for me and relationships we talked about. What is really important for me, if somebody tells me a great piece of advice, I will act on it. Not only will I act on it, I will go back to them and say, hey, you and I talked about this 3 days ago, and here's my final product. So it's really important to understanding the market you're playing with and consumers or customers' preference. So if you have a restaurant, it's really important. If you want to have a show, it's really important. If you want to do something else, if you start your own business, really important. And I honestly feel what I'm able to share here with you is not just for the culinary world. If you want to do something on your own and start something, this is a good platform to listen to, because I went through it. It's not something I learned or read about. I struggled through it. And all of the things we're telling you here is the things I personally did and what I had to overcome. So hopefully that helps. Around marketing and branding, I believe that's something where we have still opportunity to grow. Marketing and branding, social media overall. For me, the hardest thing was my partner said to me 5 years ago, Christian, we need to get on video. It took me 5 years to get myself on video that I'm comfortable on video. So for me, marketing and branding is super important. I want to build a brand around what we do because our brand is all around supporting not just the marketplace, but supporting the hospitality entrepreneur industry overall to become a backbone of what they do. And hopefully people listen in and say, hey, he said that, let me find a way to do it. And we have some really amazing new guests coming up over the next few weeks. We have somebody who is a CEO of a 600 plus unit chain, amazing the way he looks at things. I have another audience member or interviewee we have coming up, an amazing chef, top of the industry, not just an amazing chef, he's really good businessman. He built this amazing product with his daughter. So for me, I learn from the guests which come on the show, and hopefully you do too. And then for me, it's important to have a strategy around the creating that whole appeal. And I hired somebody a few years ago. They created me a brand guide. Hey, this is the colors, this is the fonts, this is what the message is all about. I encourage you to do that. It makes all the difference. Question I have here is, hey, Christian, how do you navigate the financial aspect? So for me, I started my side hustle in 2008, and I made a commitment to give it 5 hours a week. And as I seen some stuff taking off, I started, hey, how about if I give it 10 hours a week? And then in 2019, I was able to make the jump to do this full time because it gave me an opportunity to have the same income as I had as I worked for somebody. So for me, about the financial aspect, you can start anything with very little investment. So start small, build on it. It's gonna take time for you to get better. It takes time for you to build the team around you. So for the financial aspects, just a budget like we always do in the kitchen, and have some common understanding on financial planning, because that makes all the difference. And for me, I consciously made that decision that I wanted to start out small. We want to get to a place that I know, okay, now I have a certain amount of income coming in on the side. And if I scale that, I will be able to do that full time. I don't encourage you to jump into this full time right in the beginning. It's hard. It's really hard, and it takes a very long time. Like I said, we've been doing this for a long time. So for me, and then have somebody who has some financial sense in your corner. And then here we have the final question. What advice you have for aspiring chef entrepreneur? Well, so for me, do it. For me, I spent a long time at first trying to figure out where I fit in and what I want to do and how I want to serve. What I have written down back in 2008, 2009 is a lot different than we do today. So number one advice I have is do it. Whatever you do, don't get stuck in it, evolve and figure out how you can make it better. Because as you start doing, you learn about, hey, I need to learn this. I need to partner with them. I need to pivot. Maybe I do this. It's really hard to being in the planning stages and figure out what you want to do. It's a lot easier to just do it and then learn on the way. The second thing for me is hire a mentor, and not just hire a mentor, hire somebody who has done what you want to do and who had received or gotten the results you want to get. That makes all the difference. And it's also somebody who you personally like. I had a mentor. He was amazingly good in what he did. I just never connected with him. It was really hard to kind of implement some of the stuff because we never connected. And so for me, as I hired partnered with my second mentor, I loved him as a friend. I could hang out with him all the time. And the amazing thing is the way he not just taught me things, the way he put it into action, because he also himself went through it, made all the difference. So number one, as we talked about, do it small. Number two, do it consistently. Number 3, hire a mentor. And when you hire the mentor, today I have a business mentor, I have a finance mentor, I have a social media mentor, I have a mentor for our programs, what we do. And when you hire a mentor, make a conscious decision that you do what they tell you to do. I also learned from one of my mentors. He says, Christian, the reason I like working with you is because when I tell you something, you implement it. You don't ask questions, you implement, and you come back with some feedback. You know, if we have a mentor who tells you something to do, it's because they have done it. If you don't follow their advice, it doesn't matter, because if you pick and choose, it doesn't matter how good the mentor is. So I encourage you, hire a mentor, follow what they do, and go back and say, hey, I tried this, and this is how it works. And number 5, for me is serve the way only you can. And for me, that was also something I had to learn about. For me, I wanted everybody to know everything. And I went to an event in New York City by somebody named Wayne Dyer. And he said to me, if you just push people what you want to do, people get annoyed by you. And he said something which I still remember today. He says, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And so therefore, be very careful what you send out there. Do you, because nobody can do you better. And when you're ready to have those people consume your content, you are ready, and they are ready. So with that, I want to say thank you for being here this beautiful Thursday. If you haven't done so, please subscribe to our show, share it with a friend if you find some value in it, give us some feedback. And then please, if you would, go to the Disruptive Chef Entrepreneur.club and sign up for our group where we have some really cool giveaways, where we try out some new work. We would love to see you there. So we see you next Monday. Thanks, everybody.